I shouldn't be saying any of this. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I realize that just speaking these words out loud might be the very thing that seals my fate. But you need to hear it, because if it hasn't happened to you yet, it will. And if you're watching this, if you've somehow found me here, it might already be too late. It started with something stupid, something so ordinary it shouldn't have meant anything at all. I was just on my computer doing what I always do, checking emails, scrolling through junk, clearing out the kind of pointless files we all stack up without thinking. Normal, harmless routine. That's why I didn't question it at first. That's why I clicked. I should have known better. The folder wasn't supposed to exist. I didn't download it, didn't create it, didn't even recognize its name. At first I thought it was just some glitch, some leftover fragment from an update. You know how Windows loves leaving junk behind. But this wasn't junk. And once I opened it, once I saw what was inside, it was already too late to go back. I've tried everything, believe me, I've tried delete, reboot, wipe. Even nuked the entire hard drive and started fresh. It doesn't matter, the folder comes back. It always comes back. And worse than that, it changes. The first time there were just a few empty subfolders, their names nothing but random strings of letters and numbers. But every time I open it now, there's more. More files, more folders, more things. They look ordinary enough, pictures, text, documents, videos, but they are. I don't even want to describe them to you. Some of them shouldn't exist. Some of them are personal, impossibly personal. Things from my life I never saved, never recorded, never even spoke out loud. And I don't think they're meant for me to see. That's the worst part. That sick, gnawing feeling that I was never supposed to open it, never supposed to know it was there. Like the act of noticing it was already a violation. Like I crossed some invisible line I can't uncross. Now I hear things, clicks when the speakers are off, faint whispers in the static when my monitor shuts down. Sometimes I catch the webcam light flickering on, even when I'm not in the room. It knows I'm talking to you right now. I can feel it, pressing at the edges of the screen. If you're smart, you'll stop listening here. Turn this off, delete the file, forget you ever found me. But I know you won't. You want to know what was in that folder. You want to know why I can't delete it. Fine, I'll tell you. But maybe I should start at the beginning. It was just another one of those nights. You know the kind. The house is dead quiet, the only light in the room is the glow of the monitor, and you've convinced yourself you're going to be productive, while really just wasting time online. That was me. I had a mug of stale coffee on my desk, an empty bag of chips within arm's reach, and about 6 different tabs open that I wasn't actually paying attention to. Nothing out of the ordinary. If I'm being honest, my computer is kind of my whole life. I work on it, I game on it, I scroll endlessly on it. It's my entertainment, my distraction, my way of pretending I'm connected to the outside world when really, I've been spending way too much time alone. The point is, I knew my PC inside and out. I knew what was on it, what wasn't, where I left things, where I didn't. That night, though, I wasn't doing anything exciting. No secret projects, no shady downloads, no weird corners of the internet. Just cleaning. You know when your desktop is so cluttered with files that you can't even see the wallpaper anymore? Yeah, it was like that. So I started dragging things into folders, deleting screenshots I didn't need, renaming documents I'd forgotten about. Boring, tedious, mindless. I remember laughing at myself because it felt like spring cleaning, except digital. Like somehow, wiping out old homework files or dumping game installers into the recycle bin would magically organize the rest of my life too. Spoiler, it didn't, but I felt good about it. Everything was normal, almost soothing. The room smelled faintly of dust and old coffee. The hum of the PC fan was steady and familiar, and the background noise of a random YouTube video played from my second monitor. If you had walked in, you'd probably think I looked peaceful, like someone winding down before bed. That's important, because I want you to understand how ordinary it all was. There was no thunderstorm outside, no creepy music swelling, no signs that anything was about to go wrong. I clicked through folders like I always did, music, downloads, pictures, all exactly the way I left them. I was even humming a little to myself, half paying attention to some commentary video in the background. Nothing strange. And then there it was. A folder I didn't recognize. At first I thought it was mine, maybe some program update or a random temp file that got dumped on the desktop. It didn't look flashy, just a bland, gray-yellow icon like any other. The name didn't make sense though. Not gibberish exactly, but not English either. Just a string of characters that didn't belong to anything I'd ever made. I hovered over it with the mouse, frowning. My first thought was, when did that get there? That was it, not terror, not suspicion, just mild curiosity. And that's how these things get you, isn't it? Not with a scream, not with a jump scare. With something so small, so easy to ignore, that you can convince yourself it doesn't matter. I almost ignored it, almost. But the thing about me is, I'm stubborn. I don't like not knowing. If I see a mystery, I poke at it. Even when I shouldn't, especially when I shouldn't. So I clicked. And if I could go back, if I could stop myself in that one tiny moment, I would. Because everything was fine, everything was normal until I saw that folder. Until I opened it. That's when the first thread began to unravel. The folder sat there, poolsing in the corner of my desktop like a splinter I couldn't pull out. At first glance, it didn't seem like much, just a name that didn't belong. Not random letters like Acfish 32 or Temp 123, but not English either. It looked almost deliberate. 3 words strung together without spaces in a language I couldn't recognize. The letters curved in strange ways, too smooth, almost like handwriting forced into digital form. I hovered over it with my mouse, waiting for the little pop-up tooltip to tell me date created or size. Instead, the only thing that appeared was a blank white box. No information, no size, no date. That shouldn't be possible. I frowned, right-clicked, and hit Properties. Nothing. Just a spinning wheel like the computer didn't know what to do with it. After a few seconds, the window closed on its own. That's when I should have stopped. But curiosity is a dangerous thing, and mine has always been stronger than my common sense. So I double-clicked. The folder opened instantly, no delay, no load time. Inside were 5 files. Each one had a name that was just off, like something you could almost recognize but not quite. The first was a TXT file called Dauntlook. The second was a JPG labeled Home. The third was a video file with no extension at all, just a single word, Waiting. The fourth was another folder called More. And the fifth, well, the fifth one didn't even have a name, just a blank icon like a ghost file. I laughed nervously at first, thinking maybe this was some dumb prank. A virus maybe left over from a download, but it didn't feel like that. Viruses are messy, obvious. This was too clean, too intentional. I clicked the text file. It opened in Notepad, the screen filling with black characters on a white background. Not words, just endless streams of zeros and ones. Binary code. But every few lines, words appeared in plain English, scattered like islands in an ocean. Words like see, don't, hide, and my own name. I slammed the window shut. My pulse was hammering. Maybe it was coincidence, I told myself. A random string that just happened to spell my name. But deep down, I didn't believe it. Next, the image. I shouldn't have clicked it, but I did. The file popped open and I froze. It was a picture of my house, not the front of it from the street, not an old real estate photo. This was my house now. My bedroom window lit, blinds half shut, the exact way I had left them just minutes before. The timestamp in the corner said it was taken 2 minutes ago. I closed it so fast my hands shook. My stomach dropped as a sick realization hit me. The photo wasn't taken from inside the computer. It was taken from outside my house. I hovered over the third file, the video called Waiting. I didn't open it. I couldn't. Something in me screamed not to. the kind of primal warning that grips your throat and won't let you swallow. I tried to back out, to close the folder entirely, but it wouldn't shut. The little X in the corner dimmed like it wasn't clickable. My mouse froze, then jerked slightly, like something else was holding it. "Okay," I muttered out loud, trying to steady myself. "Okay, fine." I tried to delete it, dragged the folder into the recycle bin. Nothing. I tried hitting Shift plus Delete. Nothing. I even opened Task Manager trying to force it closed, but every time I did, the window blinked out, only to reopen a second later. It was like the computer was mocking me. That's when I noticed the fourth folder, More. I didn't open it, not yet, but I saw that it wasn't empty. It had subfolders inside, dozens of them, each with names too distorted to read. Some of them looked like dates, some looked like addresses, a few looked like names. My name was one of them. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at the screen, my reflection faint in the glass. The folder pulsed softly like a heartbeat. My heartbeat. I told myself I'd shut the whole system down, walk away, forget it ever existed. That's what I should have done. But my hand wouldn't leave the mouse. My eyes wouldn't leave the files. I felt pulled. And then, just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, the speakers crackled faintly. A pop of static, like a breath caught between words. That's when things started happening outside the computer. The first thing I noticed was the cursor. It twitched, just a little, just once, like maybe my mouse had snagged on a wrinkle in the mousepad. I ignored it at first, brushed it off. But then it twitched again, and again. Not random this time, deliberate, like someone else was moving it. I yanked the mouse off the pad and set it on the desk. The cursor kept sliding, slowly, smoothly, right across the screen like an invisible hand was guiding it. I laughed out loud, this dry, nervous sound that didn't fool even me. "Okay, remote access," I muttered. "Cool, somebody hacked me." Because that was easier to swallow than the alternative. I opened Task Manager again, searching for processes that didn't belong. The cursor flicked to the corner of the screen before I could even click. A folder opened, not the one I'd been looking at, a new one. Inside were more files, more pictures. I clicked one. It was me, a grainy snapshot from the webcam taken just seconds earlier. I was sitting at my desk in the exact same pose, staring at the exact same screen. My breath caught as I realized the webcam light wasn't even on. I slammed it shut, yanked the little plastic slider across the lens. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth. Nope, 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 nope. But the photos kept appearing. New ones, even with the lens covered. Each time I opened the folder, there were more, different angles, different times. Some of them weren't even from my room. They showed me in places I'd been earlier that week. The corner store, the bus stop, the parking lot near my job. Photos I never saw anyone take. I tried deleting them, selected all, hit delete. They vanished, then reappeared instantly, doubled in number. I tried again. More duplicates. It was like cutting off a hydra's head. By the third attempt, I gave up. My hands were trembling too hard to type. That's when the monitor flickered. The YouTube video on my second screen froze mid-laugh, the sound dragging into a warped, metallic groan. The image pixelated, then broke apart into static. The first monitor followed, my desktop warping into black and white stripes, text distorting into gibberish. For a moment, both screens went completely black. And in that blackness, I swore I saw a face, not detailed, just the faint outline of eyes and a mouth stretched too wide, staring straight at me. I blinked and the desktop returned, everything perfectly normal, as if nothing had happened. Except for the folder. It had multiplied. Now there were 3 of them, identical names, identical icons, side by side on the desktop like clones. My stomach dropped. I clicked one, it opened to the same contents as before. The second opened too, same thing. The third I didn't even touch. I couldn't. I pushed back from the desk, heart racing. Every instinct screamed at me to shut it all down. So I did. I reached forward and held the power button. The screen went black. The hum of the fan slowed, stopped. Silence. Relief washed through me. "Okay," I whispered. "Okay, done, over." Then the monitor blinked back on. No boot-up screen. No logo, just the desktop, already on, already running. The folders still there, lined up neatly, waiting for me. I stumbled back so fast the chair toppled over behind me. My legs hit the bed, and I sat hard, chest tight with panic. On the speakers, faintly, came the sound of typing. Not from me, from the machine. I leaned forward, barely breathing. The cursor blinked inside a blank notepad file, letters appearing one by one. "Hello." I slammed the power button again. Nothing. I pulled the plug from the wall. The screen stayed on. The file kept typing. "Why do you hide?" I ripped out every cable, every cord, until the tower was a gutted carcass of metal and plastic. The fans died. The hard drive clicked off. And still, the monitor glowed. The words finished in stark black font. "We see you." I stumbled out of the room, heart hammering. I didn't come back until the next morning. When I finally did, the computer was dark, unplugged, dead. I convinced myself it had all been some stress-induced hallucination, a trick of exhaustion and paranoia. Maybe I'd fallen asleep at the desk, dreamt the whole thing. I told myself that, over and over, until I plugged everything back in. The desktop came back instantly, no boot, no login. And there on the screen was a new file, a video. Its name was my address. I didn't watch it, couldn't. My hand hovered, trembling over the mouse. My reflection in the monitor looked pale, hollow-eyed. I could feel the weight of something watching from the other side. I told myself I'd never open it. That was the line. But the longer I stared, the more certain I became that it didn't matter. It wasn't about whether I opened it or not. The video was already there. The information was already recorded. And worse, some part of me wanted to know, needed to know. Then came the first night I heard the sound. The first night I heard it, I thought it was in my head. A faint crackle from the speakers, like radio static. I wasn't even on the computer at the time. I was lying in bed, phone in hand, half asleep. The tower was off, the monitor black. Or at least I thought it was. The static grew louder, shifting into whispers. Not words exactly, just the cadence of a voice trying to form them. I sat up, phone sliding from my hand, straining to listen. That's when the screen flickered on. A pulse of pale light cut through the room, washing the walls in cold glow. I hadn't touched anything, hadn't powered it on. The desktop just appeared, empty. No icons, no taskbar, just a blank screen of endless gray. Then the whispers resolved. "Closer." I froze. The voice wasn't coming from outside, not from the hall or the window. It was inside the speakers, inside the machine. I should have run. I should have left the room right then, but I didn't. I swung my legs over the side of the bed and inched toward the desk, heart pounding. The static deepened, shaping syllables, forming words that made my skin crawl. "We see, we hear, we wait." My breath hitched. "Who are you?" I whispered before I could stop myself. The screen rippled, the way water shivers when a stone hits it. For a moment my reflection stared back at me, but it wasn't quite right. The head tilted a second too slow, the eyes lingered a second too long. And then the reflection smiled. I jerked back, knocking over the chair. My reflection remained, grinning wide, teeth too many, too sharp, like it had been waiting all along for me to notice. The speakers hissed. A distorted laugh gurgled through the static. "You let us in." My mouth went dry. I stumbled backward, heart hammering against my ribs. "This isn't real," I muttered. "It's a virus, a trick, just a trick." The reflection's grin widened, stretching impossibly, the corners of its mouth cutting toward its ears. My voice faltered. And then it spoke. But the worst part wasn't what it said. The worst part wasn't the guttural rasp of the words, or the way they seemed to vibrate inside my bones. The worst part was that the voice was mine. Perfectly mine. Every word, every inflection, like listening to a recording of myself, but hollowed out, corrupted, like something had crawled inside and worn it as a mask. "Don't look away," it whispered. My knees buckled. I scrambled for the door, fumbling with the knob. Behind me, the speakers screeched, the reflection flickering with jagged static. "Stay, watch, we are not finished." I yanked the door open and bolted down the hallway. I didn't look back, not once. I slept on the couch that night, TV blaring just to drown out the silence. But silence never lasts, does it? The next morning, I crept back into the room, half expecting the screen to be dark, the machine to be dead. Instead, the desktop glowed with casual brightness, like nothing had happened. The cursed folder sat in its corner, pulsing faintly, waiting. And in the middle of the screen was a new file. It was named after me, my full name. I didn't open it, couldn't, but I didn't need to. Just seeing it was enough to hollow me out with dread. That was when I knew I couldn't keep this to myself. I needed someone, anyone, to tell me I wasn't losing my mind, that there was a rational explanation, so I called a friend. I laughed it off, played it cool, told them I was spooked by some creepy folder on my desktop, asked if they'd ever heard of something like that. They chuckled. "Man, you've been reading too much Reddit horror. It's just a bug. Delete it and move on." "I tried," I said. "It comes back every time." They went quiet for a moment, then sighed. "Okay, then wipe the drive. Factory reset. Done." "I already did." Another pause, longer this time, then a forced laugh. "Dude, you're overthinking this. Get some sleep. You'll feel better in the morning." But I didn't sleep. Not really. Because when I hung up and turned back to the monitor, the folder was open again on its own. And inside, there was a new text file. Its name was the same as my friend. If you've ever tried to explain something impossible to someone who doesn't want to believe, you'll know exactly how I felt. At first, I thought maybe I just wasn't explaining it right. The folder, the files, the reflection, I knew how it sounded. Crazy. So I tried to ease people into it. I started with the weird glitches. The screen turning on by itself, the static. Nothing supernatural, just the tech gone weird angle. But even then, nobody took me seriously. "Sounds like a hardware issue," one guy on a forum replied, complete with a smiley face. "Replace the PSU. Easy fix." Another chimed in. "Dude, you've definitely got malware. Just boot into safe mode and nuke it." I tried, God, I tried. I wiped the drive, replaced the hard disk, even pulled the power and left the thing unplugged for 3 days. When I finally plugged it back in, the desktop lit up instantly. No boot time, no login screen. Just that same cursed folder sitting there, waiting for me like it had never left. When I told the forums that, the responses got harsher. "Bro, stop trolling. Seek help, not tech support." And the worst one, Creepy Story 210, needs more jump scares. It wasn't a story, it was my life unraveling. I called my friend again, the one I'd trusted first, but the conversation didn't go well. "You're not sleeping, are you?" they asked, their tone caught somewhere between worry and annoyance. "Would you sleep?" I snapped. "Every time I turn around there's something new, the folder, it's learning." They laughed nervously. "Learning? Dude, listen to yourself, it's a computer. Not a pet project from some sci-fi movie." "Then how does it know your name?" I hissed. "How does it know things before they happen?" Silence, then a sharp exhale. "Look, I've got stuff to do. Maybe unplug for a while, touch grass, you know." Click, dial tone. That was the moment the paranoia dug its claws in. Because when I turned back to the screen after that call, another file had appeared. Its name was a date, tomorrow's date. I didn't want to open it. I swear I didn't. but curiosity gnawed at me until I couldn't resist. When I double-clicked, the notepad file popped up with just a single line. "The car won't stop in time." I didn't know what it meant, didn't want to know. But the next day, scrolling through the local news, I saw the headline: "A crash at an intersection across town. Driver didn't make it." And here's the part that still makes my stomach churn. The victim's name was listed in the obituaries that night. It matched one of the names I'd seen in the folder 2 days earlier. I told myself it was a coincidence. It had to be. But then it happened again. Different file, different date, another line of text. "The stairs will break." 2 days later, my neighbor's kid was in the hospital. Fell through the rotted steps behind their apartment. I stopped reading the files after that. I couldn't handle it. Every unopened one felt like a landmine, just waiting for me to step on it. But ignoring them didn't help. They multiplied. Dozens of them, then hundreds, filling the folder until it overflowed with names, dates, half-finished sentences. Some I recognized: friends, coworkers, even family. And still, no one believed me. I even caved and called tech support. The guy on the other end chuckled when I tried to explain. "Sir, folders don't just create themselves. You probably clicked on some spam link. Happens all the time." "I told you," I snapped, voice cracking. "I replaced the drive. It's not a virus. It's—" "Sir," he interrupted, tone shifting to that bored, professional patience. "We can't help with user error. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?" User error, like this was my fault, like I'd invited it in. But maybe I had. Because no matter what I did, no matter how many people I reached out to, the folder always came back. And the less people believed me, the more it seemed to tighten its grip. Like it knew it had me cornered. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about the computer. The files weren't trapped on the screen anymore. They weren't limited by code or silicon or storage. They were bleeding out. Into my life, into me. And I couldn't shake the thought, the creeping, suffocating certainty, that maybe I hadn't just found the folder. Maybe the folder had found me. I told myself I wouldn't open it. I promised myself, swore to myself, that I'd never click on that one file, the one buried deep inside, at the very bottom of the folder tree. The others multiplied endlessly, but this one never changed. No matter how many new files appeared, no matter how bloated the folder became, this one sat there like the black heart of it all, always in the same place, always waiting. Its name was simple, just one word in plain text. Me. I avoided it for weeks. Every time I skimmed past it, the hair on my neck prickled. My chest tightened. I'd scroll faster, like if I didn't linger too long, it wouldn't notice me noticing it. But I couldn't keep my eyes off it either. Like a scab I couldn't stop picking. Like a locked door I couldn't forget was in my house. And the worst part, I started dreaming about it. I'd see my desktop in the dark, glowing faintly even though the screen was off. I'd hear the faint click of a mouse. And when I looked closer, the file would be open already, its contents spilling out across the floor of my bedroom in flickering fragments of light and sound. So eventually I broke. I clicked. At first nothing happened. A blank window opened, pure white, so bright it hurt my eyes. I thought maybe it was empty. Maybe it was just a bluff. But then the window started to fill. Images first, thumbnails of pictures I'd never taken. Me sitting at my desk, staring at the monitor, except the angles were wrong, like the photos had been shot from inside the computer screen itself. The lighting was off, too, harsher, like the glow came from somewhere deeper than my room. Then videos. I clicked one, my hand shaking so badly I almost missed the double tap. The file opened in a media player I didn't recognize, no buttons, no timeline, just the footage. It was me again, same desk, same chair, except I wasn't moving. My head was tilted just slightly, like a puppet waiting for its strings to be pulled. And then my eyes opened. but it wasn't me behind them. I don't know how else to describe it except to say it was like something wearing my face, something aware that I was watching. It leaned toward the camera, or maybe the glass between us, and the video glitched, the pixels stretching and tearing until the screen showed nothing but a gaping, static maw. I slammed the laptop shut, sat there in the dark trying to breathe, trying to convince myself it wasn't real. But the sound didn't stop. Even with the screen closed, I heard whispers leaking from the speakers, words too low to make out. I held my breath, trying to catch them, and for a split second I thought I heard my own name. When I finally found the courage to open the laptop again, the screen was black. Not off, just black. And in the middle of it, white text began to type itself out, one letter at a time. "Do you see now?" I wanted to run, throw the whole machine out the window, set it on fire, leave town, anything. But I couldn't move. My hands hovered above the keyboard like they weren't mine anymore. And then another line appeared, slower this time, like it wanted me to savor each letter. "This isn't memory. This isn't prediction. This is creation." That's when it clicked. The crashes, the dates, the accidents, they weren't just recorded. They weren't warnings. They were scripts. And the folder wasn't documenting reality. It was writing it. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at those words. My whole body felt hollow, like I'd been scooped out and left with nothing but the echo. But it wasn't finished with me. The text vanished and a new file appeared in the folder. Just one, larger than the rest. Its name was today's date. My stomach dropped. My hands shook as I double-clicked, knowing I shouldn't, knowing I had no choice. The screen filled with a video window, and for a few seconds it was just static, buzzing like an old television. Then the image sharpened, and I felt bile rise in my throat. Because it wasn't the past, it wasn't even the present. It was me, right then, sitting at the desk, eyes red, lips trembling, watching the screen. The angle was wrong again, too close, too inside, like the camera wasn't recording me but the thought of me. And as I watched, my doppelganger leaned in closer to the screen, closer, until its lips brushed against the glass. And then it smiled. Not my smile, not even human. That's when I realized the forbidden file wasn't showing me something that had happened, or something that would happen. It was showing me something it wanted to happen. And maybe, just maybe, it was already too late to stop it. Because the video was still rolling, and in the corner of the frame I could see the text box flickering again, typing out one last sentence. I always thought the screen was a wall, a boundary, that as long as I stayed on my side, whatever was on the other would stay trapped. But that was a lie. It started small, the way it always does. A flicker in the corner of the monitor, a ripple across the pixels like heat shimmer. I told myself I was imagining it. I always tell myself that, until it gets worse. The lights overhead buzzed, dimmed, then flared with a sickly yellow glow. Shadows stretched unnaturally long across the walls, reaching like grasping fingers. My speakers hissed to life. No input, no audio playing, just raw static that almost sounded like voices, layered, overlapping, urgent. Then my webcam light snapped on, and something moved in the reflection. It wasn't me. The figure was hunched, too long-limbed, with a head cocked at an angle that would have snapped my neck. Its eyes glowed pale in the glass fixed right on me. And when it smiled, the image bled beyond the monitor, the grin stretching across the room like someone had taken a knife to reality. I stumbled back, but the shadows followed, dragging toward me as though the monitor was a door slowly swinging open. The hum of electricity rose to a deafening pitch, rattling the glass in the windows, shaking the floorboards under my feet. I shouted at it, at myself, at anyone who might hear, but my voice was swallowed by the static. The thing in the screen tilted its head further, then began to crawl forward, its limbs punching through the glass like it was paper. No crack. No shatter, just a ripple, as if the screen had turned liquid. And then it was here. The air went cold, sharp enough to sting my lungs. The room smelled like burning plastic and ozone. Its hand, too many fingers, all jointed wrong, reached out and grazed my desk, leaving scorch marks where it touched. I froze. My body screamed to run, but my legs locked. My heart hammered like it wanted out of my chest. It leaned closer, face inches from mine, not a reflection anymore. Flesh, breath, presence. And then it whispered, not in the speakers but in my ear. "You're not the first." That broke me, because in that instant I understood. This thing wasn't unique to me. It wasn't an accident or a glitch or even a curse. There were others, people like me, who'd found the folder, opened it, tried to delete it. Maybe you've even heard their stories, dismissed them as creepypasta fiction, just like I once did. But they were warnings. And I hadn't listened. The entity straightened, its grin splitting impossibly wide, and the shadows surged forward, swallowing everything. And that's when I knew I wasn't telling a story anymore. I was leaving a message for you. Closing confession, the warning. Word count 500. If you've made it this far, then you already understand more than you should, and maybe that's my fault. Maybe I should have stopped, cut the recording, burned everything before it spread. But I didn't, and now you're tangled in it too. That's the thing I finally realized. This isn't just a folder, it's not even just a presence, it's a contagion. It spreads through curiosity, through attention. Every time I describe it, every time someone listens, it grows roots in another mind, another machine, another life. I used to think I was cursed because I opened it. But no, that was just the door. The real curse is carrying it with me, like a parasite that feeds on memory, on fear, on time. And by listening, by letting it into your thoughts, you've already cracked the door yourself. Don't go looking for it. I'm serious. Don't try to test me. Don't search your system files or go digging through hidden directories just to prove I'm wrong. That's how it starts, innocent curiosity, a click you don't even think about. One harmless mistake. That's all it takes. I know what you're thinking, if I just avoid it, I'll be fine. That's what I told myself. But the truth is, once you know it exists, once the idea's planted, it starts to take shape. At first, it'll be subtle. A new folder here, a file name you don't remember there. You'll dismiss it, laugh it off. Until the night you can't anymore. And when it happens, when the folder finally shows up, you'll remember me. My voice, this warning. You'll remember I told you not to open it. But you will. Everyone does. Because the real trick isn't fear, it's curiosity. You'll want to know what's inside, what it knows about you, what it's written for you. And the moment you look, you'll realize it isn't just watching, it's waiting. That's why I'm saying this now while I still can, while I'm still me. Because soon enough, my words won't be my own. The folder rewrites everything, thoughts, actions, even endings. If you feel the urge to check your desktop when this ends, don't. If you think about double-clicking that folder you swear wasn't there yesterday, don't. And if you see a file named after you, it's already too late. Because the last time I refreshed my screen, before I started speaking to you, I saw something new waiting at the bottom of the list. A file with your name on it,